Good afternoon, podcast listeners everywhere. Welcome to After the Bell, a Stunt Brothers production. I'm Martin Stubel.
And I'm Roy Hunt, and we share your pain, having taught a combined 70 years.
70 years?
I know, wow. So get out your marking, organize your supplies, or just pour yourself a coffee.
I think I need something stronger.
That's okay. And listen, engage, and interact with After the Bell, a podcast for you, the hardworking, dedicated teacher who wants free lesson plans, free advice, and a free meal.
Oh, I always show up for a free meal. Well, you missed it, everyone. Roy was just doing some amazing vocal performances. His greatest hits.
Roy's greatest hits. It'll be put together as a compilation, album.
Yeah.
If I put it on a CD.
Well, what's a CD?
Exactly.
Anyway.
Although maybe we could put it on vinyl. Lots of people are buying vinyl.
They are now. So
right?
Roy's greatest hits on vinyl. I'm looking forward to
greatest
it.
Hits.
I got a little sampling while we were
Classic
testing.
vinyl.
We were testing the mics.
So now what?
Back in the box.
Yes, we are.
Another episode of After the Bell.
That's right.
Episode 67.
67.
Yeah.
And season 2, so it'll be 37.
Crazy.
And that puts us above where we were last year with only 30 episodes.
Yeah.
Now we're at 37.
And we were sitting outside where we record in the box here, the studio, and we were sitting in the sun because the weather is glorious.
It's unbelievable.
It's just perfect.
I came inside because I was breaking a sweat and I was afraid I was going to get sunburned.
Your body was going, what is this?
It's just, I just came back from Ontario where there was frost on the ground and snow in the more northern regions. I wore shorts because I didn't want to give up, and I had a fleece on top, and my legs were freezing.
What a
Not
contrast.
that problem
No.
today.
And when we sat there, it's a Monday, so by the way, May the 4th be with you. We're recording
May the
this
4th be with you.
on May the 4th. It will come out in a week.
Mm-hmm.
That would be May 11th, this
May
episode.
11th.
But we're recording May 4th, so May the 4th be with you for
Okay.
sure. But I looked around, and it's Monday. It's May still. A lot of kids around.
There were an awful lot of kids.
And we just did that episode on attendance last week.
And
I'm thinking North Van has an attendance problem.
Is this the problem? And then it hit me.
It did.
Today's a professional day.
It's a day of learning and education for teachers. They have a work day, but the kids do not.
That's right. So attendance is at an all-time low today.
It is.
And it's supposed to be.
We should do an episode on it. Horrifying decline in North Vancouver on May the 4th. Something to do with Star Wars for sure.
Yeah.
But then, of course, we should have known because we actually went to a professional development conference
certainly
today
did.
and heard a keynote speaker.
The keynote speaker was David A. Robertson.
Yeah, very famous, well-known writer in Canada. He's won all kinds of awards, written all kinds of genres and books. Just an incredible person.
And today he spoke to a book that he just recently published called All the Little Monsters.
He did, and it was just a fascinating talk. He's such a wonderful person. You can see when it comes out in his discussion of his life and the sharing that he did. You know?
He would be a great guest for our podcast.
I think he needs to come on our podcast.
Yes.
And you know what?
What?
I already asked him.
What?
David Robertson's coming on our podcast.
Wow.
Yeah. We're going to get him here. He's going to come down shortly. We're going to bring him into the box and kind of continue the discussion, talk a bit about some of his past in terms of his writing, right? What got him started in that career.
Okay.
And then probably dive into All the Little Monsters as well.
And I read All the Little Monsters, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And then today, hearing him speak to his book, because he has a great sense of humor. So I'm looking forward to laughing today.
Absolutely. And I'm honored he's coming on, right? And he's going to come on. I will do the introduction once he's here. So we can, those who do not know David Robertson, you should know him. If you don't know him, you will get a chance to learn all about him today. And I will do an introduction once we start our field trip. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Let's go. Today on After the Bell, we're joined by one of Canada's most important and versatile voices in literature, David A. Robertson. Many educators will know David from his widely used books in classrooms across the country, where his stories have helped shape meaningful conversations around Indigenous perspectives and lived experiences. His latest book, All the Little Monsters, takes readers in a new direction, offering a deeply personal and honest look at anxiety, mental health, and the internal struggles so many people carry but rarely talk about. Today we're going to dive into David's journey as a writer, the stories that have shaped him, and the message behind his powerful new book. David, welcome to After the Bell.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really appreciate it. And before we do anything, we always start off with ABC, 1, 2, 3. So quick little icebreakers, no stress,
Okay.
no anxiety allowed.
It's not
I'm
stressful.
ready.
It's not stressful. All right.
So you'll do the...
So I'll do ABC. Okay. Martin will do 1, 2, 3. A, prairies or mountains?
Mountains.
Okay. Okay.
B.
Why?
Why?
I think I can.
I mean, the sky's great, but it's just so boring sometimes.
okay.
You know?
Yes.
I love the mountains.
I agree. I'm from southwestern Ontario. I moved here, and I went back to southwestern Ontario last week, and I missed the mountains almost instantly.
Yeah. Mountains and the ocean.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's something very spiritual about it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Sure.
All right. So B, basketball or hockey?
Basketball to play,
Yeah. Okay.
hockey to watch.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just like hockey dad, so
Okay.
yeah, I cheated on that one.
Are you watching the playoffs right now?
No.
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 You don't
I was in it.
I didn't either. I like the Canucks. Once the Canucks aren't in it, I don't even care. But I found out Montreal was in it, and I watched
Yes.
the game yesterday, and it was actually
a
a
good
good
game.
game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I watched my sons play.
Okay.
That's-
There's something special about that.
Yeah. Basketball is the only sport I'm good at.
Okay.
So, yeah. I'm probably not even anymore.
C, early morning writing or late night writing?
Both.
Okay.
I also cheated again. I do both. But nothing in between. Just like, I just don't get much sleep.
Yeah. Okay, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Did you have a favorite book as a child?
Yes.
And what was it?
Tom's Midnight Garden.
Okay.
Philippa Pierce.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
He was quarantined from the measles,
Okay.
sent to his auntie and uncles to stay in a flat in London. And the grandfather clock strikes 13 every night. He finds out it opens to another time in the same area. He time travels through this portal every night. He meets a girl at different ages of her life named Hattie. And it's just a beautiful portal time travel story.
Wow.
Did that inspire some of your later writing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I'm thinking so.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite teacher from your childhood? And
Yeah.
it could be say in school, or it could be someone else in your life. But if there's someone in school that stands out,
Yeah, Mrs. Ratusky.
Okay,
Yeah,
Mr.
great.
Ratusky.
Mrs. Ratusky.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Maybe Miss. Mrs. Anyway, Miss Ratusky.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's my grade 3 teacher.
Okay.
She got me writing. Yeah, so she gave me the first poetry thing I ever did.
Yeah.
The first thing I ever did was poetry. She made it into a booklet for me, and made me want to make books. So that was her.
Yeah.
Miss Ratusky.
Yeah, I always talk about my grade 4 and 5 teacher, Miss Miller, who I actually got to meet up lately with her again, and she had Crichter's creative writing, and it got me. I love writing too. I'm not anywhere what you do, but I love.
But you can be.
Yeah, no,
Yes.
I keep on. I aspire to it for sure.
Yeah.
and she's the one, without a doubt, who
Yeah.
got me into that world.
When I won the Governor General's Award, she emailed. No, I was. Oh, sorry. I don't mean to flex. It was the second time I won, and she she emailed me. She emailed me and out of nowhere, and she just like said congratulations on winning, and I was able to tell her that I think I would have won it without you.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah, it's really nice.
That's
That
positive.
would warm her heart.
Yeah, it was great.
Yes.
Yeah.
And number 3, if you had only one piece of music that you could listen to for the rest of your life, say you're on a deserted island, you only hear this one piece, you don't have to play it over and over again until you're sick of it, but is there one piece that would stand out?
The Kathy's song by Simon and
Oh, yeah,
Garfunkel.
yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
It's like perfect songwriting.
Yeah.
Lyrics
the vocals
are,
on it, or just
yeah.
like in the lyric? Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. That's my favorite song of all
Even
time.
when it starts, it's just,
Yeah, the live version though.
yeah.
Yeah. It's so good.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I did pretty well with those.
You did.
Yes, you did.
You passed,
Very
you
well.
passed the test.
It was longer than one-word answers, but
No, that was great.
Well, one thing I would like to ask you is, in having read, as we said, 52 Ways to Reconciliation, I would like to ask you how you say welcome in Cree.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I say Tansy means hi.
Okay.
I don't know. Welcome. I'm like don't speak Cree. I speak some words.
Yeah. Okay. You mentioned in the book, it's Ikosani at the end.
Ekosani?
Ekosani.
Thank you.
You used the wrong language.
Mm-hmm. When I had my first book launch, I said miigwech.
Okay.
And this is Anishinaabe, Moan word.
Yes.
Yeah. So my dad after was like, "You're not Ojibwe. You're Cree.
Right.
Say Ekosani."
Yeah.
So ever since then, I said the right word.
And I really connected in that section because you talked about going to Germany and all the different dialects. And my dad is German, and it's amazing how one country can really have so many languages.
Yeah. So many different Indigenous languages across Turtle Island. Yeah.
So we're gonna get to your current book later, but I wouldn't mind getting into some of the background of you as a writer.
Okay.
Well. Okay. That's okay.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. So when we look at when you look back at your earliest work, how have you noticed your writing has changed?
Well, I think that I've just gotten maybe better at it, but that probably comes with time. I don't think my message has probably evolved too, but just because I think I've done some work in different areas that I don't have to repeat. So when I first started out, I was really focused on like residential school history quite a bit, or missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and so those were really important topics to reach because I didn't have them when I was growing up, and really weren't talking about them still. I think great extent in Canada, and even like 2010 in residential school history, maybe like in high school, but not really elementary or middle years too much. So I saw that. I think you see something you can affect change with, and maybe you have also responsibility to do it. So I started out doing that. I was doing mostly graphic novels, and I think over time I really tried to improve my message through honing my craft. So I've tried to tackle different forms and genres. That has definitely changed. And then just what I have to say has changed. I mean, it's all reconciliation. It's all, representation-based, like mental health or Indigenous rights and issues and that sort of thing. But I just think it's my understanding of how much work there is to do has also, I think, increased the breadth of what I write about and what I talk about.
Do you feel more free now to write what you want to write rather than feeling the burden of that at the beginning?
I think I'm getting there now.
Yeah.
I do feel that. I mean, I don't feel really like I don't feel really held back by it, but I think there is an expectation that Dave Robertson is going to write about this thing. And I think now I'm getting to the point where I feel I'm giving myself the grace to have a bit more freedom with the books that I write. I get a bit more fun with it. I still think anything I write will have some sort of a intention or message, but I just want to have a lot more freedom with what I do and give myself a bit more leeway with the stuff that I write. I think I've done a lot of work, and I feel like I want to do a bit more things for me, but also I think that will help other people too. But yeah.
And just a burning question for me is, even if you go into the library here, often your books are in the Indigenous section. Do you celebrate that, or do you think I'm a writer and you feel pigeonholed into that? Like, is that a good thing or not? I don't know. What do you think?
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Yeah.
When my dad was growing up, he was a reverend, and when he was graduated from UBC and became an ordained minister, they said he was like an Indigenous minister. So they tried to put him into a reserve to preach. And my dad said, I think I'm a minister. I'm not an Indigenous minister. I'm Indigenous, but I'm a minister. Right. So they sent him to Melita, Manitoba. It's like a little small town that my dad thought they were punishing him for that. So they sent him to like the nowhere town, which is great because my mom lived there, so I wouldn't exist, and my dad wasn't like stubborn, But
there's a reason.
Yeah. So I feel like sometimes, I want to be known as a great writer, and not like a great Indigenous writer. Because I feel like that's saying that like there's different like levels of greatness. I don't think that's necessarily true. But not that I'm saying I'm great, but I feel like that the standards aren't different, I don't think. So, but I do feel like there's an importance to me being visibly and outwardly like Indigenous, because I think it is like maybe aspirational for younger writers or aspiring writers to know that like what I've been able to accomplish in my career, I've been able to do as someone who's Indigenous in this field. I think being an Indigenous writer, I think maybe lends itself to that sort of belief in someone that they can do it too. So I think I appreciate it, but I also don't want to be kept in that one little box. Because I think, I think my writing is also for everybody. So I think, I'm okay being in the section, but I think it's universal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you've wanted to be a writer since the age of 7.
8, yeah.
8?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then are you the writer that you envisioned as an 8-year-old?
I don't know. I think so. When I was younger, I remember going home after my teacher gave me this assignment to write poetry, and I remember running to the house telling my mom I wanted to be a world famous writer. That was my That was like my 8-year-old goal. So I haven't gotten there, But I do feel like if I was realistic, I think that I've done a lot more than I thought I'd be able to do, and a lot of that's luck. I think a lot of that was like a lot of hard work, and so I think that I'm further along than maybe I thought was possible in like a more mature brain. Not saying like this world famous writer, but I don't really care about fame. I care about impact, and I think that's maybe comes with maturity too. I think what I've been able to do in my career, although I think it's for other people to assess that, I think I'm pretty happy with what I've been able to accomplish, and not that I want to stop, but I feel like I'm in a pretty good place as a writer. I think I'm pretty proud of what I've been able to do.
And what do you look to measure for success? What do you see?
I think it's just like, So I'm lucky enough to win a lot of awards, but I think the measure of success for me is getting like an email from somebody who's read my book and wants to reach out and share their story with me. That is real success to me. Yeah. It's like because I want to like help people. So I feel like that means so much more to me than winning an award.
That's connection, right? When you wrote something, there's some trust. Mm-hmm. Someone read that and they felt trust and they felt a connection to you, and they can, as a retired teacher, both of us being retired teachers. When a student comes up to you who's graduated 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and they come up and they just want to make sure that they connect with you, that's an award in itself. It just fills my heart because we taught together we've combined 70 years.
Wow, yeah, you've probably changed a lot of lives. Teachers are rare breed, and so I think I wanted this recognition. I think last year it means more to me than almost anything I've won, and it was just like the Community Builder of the Year. That was meaningful for me because that's really the focus of my work, is trying to bring people together and build community, and I think that's really meaningful for me. Yeah.
And the thing about your writing is it doesn't, I think a lot of writers get into one little niche and that's their thing. I mean, you've done picture books, memoirs, novels, graphic novels. Do you write differently for different audiences, or do you think about the audience, or is it just kind of this is the theme, I'm going to go this direction, but it doesn't matter whether it's for children or for adults?
I do. I'm very intentional about who I write it for. So when I think of like what I have to say, so for example, it was like a residential school history, and I thought that I saw from the calls to action, the TRC's calls to action, the final report, talking about how it didn't have resources for for residential school history for kids. Right. I thought, what? That needs to be out there. Yeah. So I wrote When We Were Alone, which is a picture book. Yeah. I wrote really intentionally for really very young learners, and that was really the first picture book for kindergartners about residential schools, I think, that had been written. Mm-hmm. So I feel like when I write something, I do think about the audience. I think about who it's for, and it helps me to decide what I'm going to write. So whether it's a graphic novel, picture book, memoir, fiction, whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like how I write, when it comes to novels, it doesn't really change. I think about the content and if it's age appropriate or not. But one of the things I've learned as a writer is you never really write down to your audience. So I never try to write anything more simplistic for a kid. Yeah. Like The Barren Grounds is a really complex novel.
It is really complex, yeah.
And it's for like middle graders. Yeah. So I think
kids appreciate that.
They do.
Right? They know when they're being talked down to.
Yeah. I think it's Maurice Sendak really was saying that, you never write down to a kid. Kids get it. So that was a very awful way to paraphrase because he said something smarter than that. But I think that's how I approach writing. And so even like my picture books are pretty complex. On the Trapline, there's a lot of nuances and subtleties of that book. And I think kids really get that. So I think I do think about who I'm writing for, but it doesn't impact how intelligently I try to write it. I think kids are probably a lot of times more smarter than adults. So
they are.
Yeah.
So what responsibility do you feel when writing stories that represent Indigenous experiences?
Really responsible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't feel like pressure on myself, but I feel like you're holding a story, mm-hmm. and you want to represent that story properly. And especially when I'm writing for like different groups of Indigenous people, not that I'm writing for them, but writing a character from different groups. So like writing a story about Francis Pega-Magabo, who's like an Ojibwe soldier. Mm-hmm. That was something I really needed to think a lot about how I was going to write that character, because I'm Cree. So the same expectation I have on like non-Indigenous writers writing Indigenous characters, they have to do a lot of research and a lot of work to make sure you're doing it accurately. Mm-hmm. Because we're not a monolith as Indigenous people, I want to make sure I'm doing that properly too, or else I would be a hypocrite. So I think a lot about that, and even as a Cree writer writing Cree characters, I want to make sure I get that properly as well. So the Barren Grounds, for example, like those two kids, Morgan and Eli, mm-hmm. they're in foster care. Mm-hmm. So, and I've never been in foster care, so I want to make sure I got that right, because it's so important. There's very little books out there about Indigenous people in foster care.
And you don't want to be superficial about it, I would imagine.
Right. You want to do it accurately and appropriately, and you want to do it really well. Mm-hmm. Because if you do that well, what you have to say, I think, is really, a lot more powerful. Yeah. So I feel a lot of responsibility for not just like as an Indigenous writer writing Indigenous characters, but I think just as a writer writing about really important subjects. I feel like that's a weight. But I think it's a good weight. You just have to like handle it properly.
Yeah. And now, as you've started your writing career till now, have you noticed a difference in how readers and educators engage in Indigenous writing? Like, is there a shift?
Yeah.
What have you noticed?
It's like so much more aware. Yeah. So much more capable. Yeah. They're so much more ready to do it. Mm. I think when I first started out, there wasn't a lot. There was a bit, but we're still like at a growth. We're always at a growth area, but we weren't really far along, and so like, and being able to teach Indigenous text was something that a lot of teachers I don't think were really ready for at that time. And now, I'm really lucky because I get to travel Canada a lot, and right from when I started until now, so I've seen the growth. Like I've seen from where we started from, where we are now, and it's stark. Like how far we've come. It's so obvious, and I think, but we have a long way to go too. But I think teachers are really, embracing that challenge. When I first started out, like residential school history was it. That was all we were really doing, and maybe not even. And now, 15 years, 16 years later, everybody's teaching residential school history. It's from kindergarten all the way to grade 12. It's amazing. Then the conversation now is like, what do we need to be teaching now? What are we not doing? And we're actually not doing a lot. So like expanding that into foster care, the different colonial systems in this country, and then like community, culture, language, like land-based stuff like that. We need to expand constantly. And I think teachers are willing to do that. They're pretty amazing.
Of all your books, is there one that surprised you, and how it was responded to?
Probably All Little Monsters, I think, which is ironically is the one book that wasn't really an Indigenous book. That was a mental health book, and I knew that when I started writing it. I knew obviously I lived with it my whole life, but I didn't know how profound it was, like how many people were dealing with it. And I knew it was an issue, but I don't think until I released the book I knew how big of an issue it was. And I had a bit of a taste of it. So when I used to, I still do, but when I did advocacy for mental health, when I did public speaking for mental health, I would always have people come up to me after and talk to me about, the issue, or talk to me what they were going through, or they knew somebody who was going through something. And now that, really kind of, it made me realize just that a lot of people are going through it. But when the book came out, the response from people, not only just like in like launches or like public events, and how many people would come up to me after, but like privately, like, DMs on social media, emails from people, or people just stopping me in the street, who read my book and talking about, how much it meant to them, or just how much they're struggling, and that it was really overwhelming. But I think it's also been really eye-opening and healing too. To know that sometimes people just need to have some sort of like a safe place to go to start the conversation, and that has been a really amazing thing to experience. But I think it also was something that really surprised me. I didn't realize how widespread the struggles were that people were having.
So let's dive into all of the little monsters then.
Okay. I'm ready. Yeah. I got my swim trunks on. I'm ready to dive in. Let's go.
It's such a vivid metaphor, all the little monsters, and the idea. Can you tell us the genesis of that and what, that's the big question that probably will answer all our other questions here. So jump in with that.
Well, pretty early on, I was going to therapy, and one of the first therapists I had, I was trying to figure out what I was even going through, and she really helped me not only accept anxiety, but figure out like how to. I think for me, it's how to like humanize it for myself and how to name it so it doesn't feel like such an amorphous, like huge thing that's crushing down on you, And so she helped me. What she said to me was that it's like this entity that's with you, and when you're kind of struggling with it, it kind of talks to you all the time, and it tells you things, And it could be. Now, for me, I would imagine it talking to me, but whether it does, sometimes it's just a feeling. So, like if you're on a plane and you feel like the plane's going to crash, and you don't want to go on the plane because you're so worried for sure it's going to crash, then that's something that's telling you it's not reasonable, right? But it's something's telling you that it's going to happen, and then you listen to it, and it causes you to alter your behavior. Maybe you don't go on the flight, or maybe you go on the flight, you're having a panic attack the entire time, you're freaking out because you're sure you're going to die. So that kind of voice is, whether it's like, for me, it's like, for a while it's don't go up the stairs, or you're not good enough, like you don't deserve that award, or whatever it might be, or you're gonna completely mess up this keynote, that sort of thing for me. And so when it does that, and you listen to it, and you don't go up the stairs, or you cancel an event, or whatever it might be, then you just feed into it, and it gets it gets bigger, and it's like when you feed anything, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until it does crush down on you, and it becomes this thing that you can't walk with anymore. It's just too heavy. So one of the things I learned is, I guess, is like cognitive behavioral thing, but you have to like expose yourself to the things that you don't think that you could do. And so whether it's like going up the stairs, or doing an event you're scared to do, or getting on a plane, whatever it might be. And when you do that, you're not buying into the lies that you're being told by this entity. And it shrinks it. You kind of starve it out, and it becomes a little easier to manage. So that's where that metaphor comes from. It's like thinking of it. Like for me, I think of it as a little monster on my shoulder, and I'm in control of it. So if I listen to it, it kind of wrests control from me. If I don't, I get to stay in the driver's seat. And I'm pretty good now at not listening to it. I still fail from time to time, but I think I take those failures and learn from them. But that's where that title comes from. It's all these little monsters on my shoulder just trying to beat the crap out of me.
Yeah. But I like the idea of just going ahead and going anyway and doing it and not giving in to the little monsters. I mean, I've had tinges of anxiety my whole life, but I've often just said out loud, I'm going to do something that I don't want to do, but I say it out loud and then I have to do it, and I overcome it. That's my way of dealing with it too, so I appreciate you putting it that way.
Yeah. So when you talk about the little monsters and trying to tame those little monsters, you need to have a toolbox of things. So what are the things that you would have in a toolbox to keep those monsters at bay?
Like a hammer,
baseball bat,
chisel,
somewhere to hide the body. So for me, I have a bunch of things in that toolkit. I think breathing is a big one. I feel like when I have panic or anxiety, I find my breath shortening, and it really does compound those feelings. So I try to make sure I'm really mindful of my breathing, and when I'm going through a really tough stretch, I try to really breathe deliberately and deeply into my belly, and that is therapeutic for anybody to be able to do that. That's a big one. I think for me as well, it's getting music going and listening to music that I love. Being on the land, being near the water, listening to the water, really important too. I think like you being in a community that you can talk to people about your struggles with, I think is really important. So like when I'm really bad, I'll call somebody, call a close friend, or and just chat with them. I get the same thing from them. Like they'll call me if they're having a hard time, and we'll kind of talk with each other. That's big too. Medication for a while is important as well for me, and I'm off it now, but I feel like that was definitely something that helped me get through a lot of hard times. And I think when you have medication, I think you're supporting it with other stuff is really, really important to me. So those are some things that I'm able to kind of do. And I think also it is like we were talking about earlier. It's like taking control and doing things anyway. I think that's really, really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Do you worry about our modern world and the online world, and we're losing community because of that? Like we're losing those connections with friends and family? Because I read recently in 2003, I think the average teenager would spend, 25 hours with their friends. And now it's 5 hours, right?
Yeah.
They're not connecting.
Like a week?
Yeah. In a week, yes.
Yeah. 25 hours, yeah. No, I think, it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. So I think social media and the internet can be like a force for good. Mm-hmm. It can be a force for bad. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's how you use it, I think. And I think it's like having conversations with kids on like how to use it properly in a healthy way. If you're going on there scrolling all day and doing, going on, doom scrolling or reading like crap on there and whatever it might be, I think that is pretty damaging. Yeah. But it can be this great tool to connect.
Absolutely.
Like I have a friend who's a gamer, and she has a community on there that she talks to while she plays, and it's really helpful for her. And especially when you have what is it? You have social anxiety. You don't want to really be around people physically, and it's hard for you. Yeah. You can go online and talk to people, and that is a really great way to connect if you're struggling in the other way. So I think it's all about balance, and I think but it is a problem, and people, I think, are feeling more anxiety today because of what they're reading online, what they're seeing online, and we are living in an age of anxiety. I think part of it is to do with, probably a big part is to do with the internet. Yeah.
It's finding that balance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Getting outside, making connections and real things, right? Deep breathing, all those things that are away from that. Like, then you can manage it. But if you're not doing those things, I think it's overwhelming. Yeah,
I was with someone this weekend, and like I didn't go on my phone probably even like more than a couple times. And I was on my phone for like 5 minutes this weekend, and I was outside and just like visiting and out like breathing air and like walking and going to some pretty places, and that was way better.
You just feel better.
Yeah,
you do.
You do. You feel a lot more rejuvenated, a lot calmer. Yeah. It's the company you keep too, but it's all of that is way better, I think, than just like looking at your phone and
horrible
coming up for air after 5 hours, and you're like, how many reels did I watch? So.
Well, I find you so brave to have written this book, All the Little Monsters. Like, was there a point where you doubted yourself and thought, I don't know if I can put this all on paper?
No.
You were convinced this was the right thing?
I was convinced it was the right thing. I think there's times when I had to stop because it was pretty heavy. Like, it's hard to revisit things that you've been through. And I think it's important to do that, but it's hard. Especially thinking about, when I was really struggling, like 16 years ago, and writing about that was hard because you realize just how bad it got and how close you were to not being around. And that was hard. But I also think that was healing too. It's almost like an act of reclamation. You kind of are able to reclaim your life and like reclaim and recontextualize moments and make them your own. And I think that I let go a lot of that. I think writing it helped me to get those things back. So even though it was hard at times, I thought it was important, and I never really wavered in it. But I had to do a lot of self-care in writing it, especially also in like doing the audiobook. You're just like reading it over again, So that was, but I think I'm better for it,
But now you're also doing a lot of public speaking about it. So does that bring it out again for you?
Sure.
So you do have to revisit this over and over again.
Yeah, you do. I think the same thing as my dad. When I wrote Blackwater, I was talking about my dad all the time, and he had just died. So that was really hard. And I struggled for a long time with having to do that. Until I was able to like take control of that as well, and and trying to hold him in a healthier way, And I think this is the same thing. You're trying to hold it in a healthier way. You learn how to practice self-care, and how to not compartmentalize because you want to be present with people, but how to not take it on yourself and just listen and not allow that weight to kind of crush you. Because it's hard to hear a lot of stories from people. It can be triggering for yourself, but I think you have to. I think for me, I've learned how to manage that properly. And even today, I had this talk at a school today, and I just went out, sat outside for an hour after, and that was like a good way for me to kind of let that go.
What do you hope people who don't suffer from anxiety take away from your book?
I would say live with anxiety, not suffer with anxiety. I think suffering from anxiety is allowing it to have control over you. Okay. Yeah. That's just a language thing. Yeah. I'm going to correct you.
Yeah, no.
No.
Please do.
Please, it's okay.
Yeah. What was the question again, though?
The people who don't live with anxiety, what takeaway would you like them to have from your book?
Yeah. Well, there's two probably. I think one of them is so people can understand better what someone else is going through. I think there is stigma attached to mental health. I think it's something that needs to really have a lot of work done in terms of normalizing it and destigmatizing it. And I think that this book, because it is told from a place of just like raw lived experience, I think it'll help people understand more about how it works in someone's mind, what they might be going through, and that I think is important for people who don't live with it, how they can get a better sense of it. I think also someone who doesn't live with it has people around them who do, for sure. And so being able to be a better support for them is, I think, a really important thing to be able to be for somebody. And if you understand more of how it works and you're able to be a better support for someone who needs it from you, I think this book can help in that way too. I think it offers some solutions, not answers, but I think there's no cure, but I think it offers some help. And I think if someone can be a help to someone else, I think that people need that.
In that help with someone else, could you share the story about the man in the hole?
Yeah. So that happened after my dad passed away, and I was suicidal. I was doing pretty bad, and I was on the couch. I was lost a ton of weight. I was really withdrawing from family and from everybody, and then a few things helped me get out of it. Medication and rediscovering some joy in life, and like music or writing, working again, that sort of thing. But so my friend Scott, who's my illustrator for a lot of my graphic novels, he stopped by one day and brought a comic he had made to me, and that comic was about this guy who's stuck in this deep dark hole. It was depression and these people walk by, and as they're walking by, he calls up for help from them. And one of them is a reverend, and he throws down. He doesn't throw down. I guess he throws down, but he says a prayer. He's like, "I'll pray for you," and the guy is still stuck in the hole. And then another guy walks by, and it's a doctor, and he says, "I'll write a prescription." He throws down a prescription, and the guy can't fill it, so he's still in the hole. And the last guy walks by, and he asks for help, and it's just a regular guy, and he crawls over the edge and gets in the hole with him, and the guy who's in the hole says, "I mean, what are you doing? Now we're both down here." And the guy who went down there says, "Well, I've been here before, and I know the way out." I think it's an example of how community works. I think for me, I've lived with it for so long. I've learned some things, and I think I can help other people who maybe are new or haven't really done the work to know how to live through it in a healthy way. And I think as well, I'm still learning all the time too. So I learn from other people constantly. And I think that's the spectrum is, you have people who support you. I think you can also be support. And you're also walking with people who are, on the same stage of the journey as you. So it's all a big community.
Yeah. Don't you feel a lot of people have been there before, but they just won't admit it?
Yeah.
And often, don't you find you go into a room and there's that person that just seems so confident, so focused, and they probably are riddled with it more than anyone. They just really are good at faking it.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was good at faking it for a long time too. Yeah. And I think especially it's hard for, I think, men in particular. Men struggle with it just as much as women. And I think they suck at talking about it. And I had a lot of people come up to me after my speech today, speaking at school today, and they were talking about how it was their partner or their son or whoever who just didn't want to talk about what they're going through. And when you do that, I mean, you're struggling in silence, and that can lead to some pretty dangerous behavior. And I think like you have to be able to feel safe to speak and to share. And when you do that, I think that's really the first step, is knowing you need to get help and being able to ask for it. And I think that, everybody needs to know that it's okay to not be okay. But I mean, part of how you become better at dealing with that is to know how to ask for help for it.
Yeah.
That's a hard step to take.
I was just listening to the actor Andrew McCarthy. He was one of the Brat Pack, Demi Moore and all those. He was on Matt Galloway's The Current. And he's written a book about friends for men of such trouble making friendships. And his son had actually pointed out to him and said, "Dad, you don't really have any friends." And he had acquaintances, people who play sports, and he realized, and he started to reconnect. He went back and he would just show up at friends from high school. And the book is just pointing that out, that I think men do have trouble verbalizing their feelings. It's a stereotype, but it is true.
It's true. It's a true stereotype.
And, we need to work on that.
Yeah. I mean, I've never really had a problem with that. I've always been pretty open about, even though I think like there's two things. So one of them is I was pretty ashamed with how badly I was struggling with mental health. But it wasn't because I'm a man. I think it's because I felt weak. Maybe it was because I was a man. Maybe that's probably the problem. But I don't know
what a man should be. Right?
Yeah, but like I think I've always been pretty good about speaking about my feelings for the most part. I mean, it's probably not good at times, but I think like I've become pretty good at it. And I think it is when you do see a man who is opening up about their struggles, being vulnerable, I think it makes you feel like, maybe it's actually okay if I do. Maybe it's not actually a weakness. Maybe it's a strength. Yeah. I think it is a strength. Yeah.
That's why I think we need more male teachers in education, and we're finding there's less and less male joining the profession. I think it's just kids need to see that modeled by their male teachers as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, how would you view, for example, where you are right now, and if we were to go back to your childhood, would there have been any time during your childhood that some form of intervention may have changed the direction that your anxiety went in?
I don't know. I think I was asked a question last year. All Little Monsters came out. I think it was last year. It was, and I was at a high school. And I was doing an assembly presentation, and after I was done talking, it was a young woman, I think she's probably grade 11 or 12, and she asked me if I could go back and change anything, what I would change. And I thought about that for a long time, because I didn't really know, and then I ended up thinking, and that's what I told her, I don't think I would change anything, because everything that we go through in this life, the good things and the really hard things, it all shapes you for who you are. And I think part of the healthy way to go about life is, I think is accepting yourself. And I think it sounds maybe cheesy, but it's true. It's like learning how to love yourself. Yeah. And if you do things differently, then you're not the same person.
Yeah. Right.
And so I don't think I would change anything, because I have to really, I think I've got to the point where I'm pretty happy with who I am, and I'm pretty comfortable with it. And I'm working on the love part. I'm pretty good at sometimes, not at others. But I do think that I think I like who I am, and I definitely have made a ton of mistakes, and I think there's a lot of things that could have gone better for me. But at the same time, I am where I am, and that's life's a journey, and all the stuff that you go through, the mistakes and everything, you learn from them and get better, hopefully all the time. And I'll still mess up all the time, And I just hope I learn from it.
Yeah, the actor Richard Dreyfuss, who suffers from severe manic depression, he was once asked in an interview, would you rather have had a life that you didn't have manic depression? He said, no, it's part of my journey. It's part of who I am. Yeah. And he accepted it, and it brought about feelings that he just thought went to the core of who he was. So it's really learning to appreciate who we are, right?
Yeah, it is.
And working on those things that need to be worked on.
Yeah.
We all need to do that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We all know those who don't do that, and maybe they should.
yeah, for sure. I think that's so true. Yeah.
Okay, so then I want to bring us up a little bit and say, like, what are the things that bring you joy?
Well, I think a lot of things. I think it is being in nature. I think like being with my feet on the ground outside and being near the water, I think it gives me a lot of joy. I love animals. I love, I'm so into otters lately. It's so funny, but I don't know if otters are having their time, but I see them like on these reels and I feel like I want to have an otter. Like they're so cute, those things, and I love bears and whales. I see a whale, I cry. Like I'm so happy to see a whale. I think music, it brings me a ton of joy. I listen to music like all the time, constantly, and I love it. Being with my kids, I think is really important for me. Finding time with them. I think like connecting with people, I think brings me a lot of joy too. Like connecting with like readers or people I meet at conferences, or just like spending time with friends, I think, and just being in community in that way. And it's like finding as well someone that you can be with that makes you feel good and comfortable and safe. And I think that I found that too. And I think that all I think is pretty joyful for me. I think I'm in a really good spot right now. Yeah.
Nice. When you mentioned joy in animals, my wife was just at Deep Cove because I believe you were there
yesterday. Yeah.
And the orcas came by. I don't know if you.
I didn't see them. Yeah, we should have stayed out there longer.
Some transient orcas came through, and they also there's pictures under Lionsgate Bridge, and so.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I missed it.
She came home with such joy in her face.
Yeah. Oh, it was beautiful. We spent the day out there. Like we spent like a few hours out there, and it was such a beautiful place to be. And I feel like it's almost like out of reality. It feels like it's so surreal. Yeah. It's so beautiful. And it was such a
close
great
to the city at the same time.
Oh yeah. It was such a beautiful afternoon. I would like that was like in my mental treasure box of like a really perfect day. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
If this book sparks one conversation, what would you want it to be? Among family, friends, colleagues, in a classroom.
I don't know. I think that I just want people to. I don't know. I want people to just be a little more kind to each other. I think that would be it. I think I'm quoted in the book, but I feel like you need to be like kind with everybody because you don't know what someone's going through.
No.
Yeah. I think that's what I would say. I think that we all need that a little bit. I think.
Yeah. Don't judge people so quickly, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're in the checkup line and someone's being annoying, just don't know.
You don't have to be a dick.
Right?
Yes.
Don't be a dick.
Yeah. I think that's what it would be. Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful way to end it, right? Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
That's the title of this episode.
Yeah. Even if someone cut you off in traffic, maybe they had a really bad day.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
So they're there.
Yeah.
They're in your lane now. Yeah. What are you going to do?
What do you do about it?
Just
get so worked up.
Just keep driving.
Yeah. And that affects you too, because if you get angry about it, then suddenly now you are sitting with this anger inside you.
Yeah.
And your day's ruined.
Yeah. I catch myself sometimes. I'm from Winnipeg. There's a lot of bad drivers in Winnipeg, and like you could do that and honk and throw your finger up and yell and. Yeah. That doesn't help anybody,
no.
And they can't hear you. No. They don't care. So like you're just like ruining your own day. So why would you? I catch myself a lot now when I'm driving, even like here, someone cut me off, and I'm like, okay, what am I going to do here? I'll just keep going. Like what?
Yeah.
I have more stuff to do today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go find that joy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Go somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, David, thank you. This has been such a pleasure to have this conversation with you. We really appreciate having you come on after the bell.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So David Robertson here in the box in our studio.
What a wonderful interview. It didn't feel like an interview. It felt like we were talking to someone, an old acquaintance.
Yeah, I almost feel it was a bit of therapy too. I just feel so calm after talking to David.
Yes, there was a great comfort in his voice, and he loves to laugh.
Yeah,
yes.
And that it really is the best medicine sometimes.
It is, and the things that we talked about, finding joy.
Yeah, getting outside.
Getting outside. community, the importance of community. I know at a time when we're talking about anxiety in our students and anxiety that's out there in our communities, that building community is more important now, I think, than ever.
Yeah. And finding that simple opportunity to do some deep breathing, right? I think those things that he says are just, we all know them, right? But we don't practice them. And this was another chance to hear someone tell that and learn from David. Yeah.
And I'd like to read something from the book that I think is very important.
Yeah, and I think it will help our listeners to kind of wrap up the episode. So just let's hear you read it, and we'll just end with that.
And these are affirmations that David has come to understand as mindfulness, and it is something from his father's notebook. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will be grateful. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, I will be kind to every living thing.
This podcast is organic, taking shape with each episode. Building resiliency for teachers everywhere.
That sounds great.
And our website is stuntbrothers.ca.
That's stuntbrothers.ca.
We will chat again.
After the bell.